I want to start with one simple word. And that word is a word that every one of you has used. You probably even used it this morning, and that is never. I'm never going to catch the bus. I'm not going to get out of bed on time. I'm never going to get the grade that I want to get, for example. Yeah. This word can define your life, but it doesn't have to. It's one of these things that, your parents will say, okay? It's a tiny little word, but it has, as I said, the power to shape your life. So when we were little, adults will ask us what we wanted to do with our lives. We would say astronaut, footballer, now social media influencer, for example. And people would say, oh, isn't that lovely? Brilliant idea. But then people would say, that's unrealistic. That's too hard. You'll never make it. And that's when we start to become disheartened. We stopped dreaming big and we start playing it safe. And we stop trying because we don't want to fail. The truth is, never isn't the end. It's just the beginning, and you guys haven't reached it yet. When I was your age, I said something sounded a lot like this. I'll never speak in front of people. I hated presentations. If a teacher said to me, or said to the class, group project, I'd freak out. I hated it. Now, back in my day, we didn't have Microsoft Office and PowerPoint, things like this. So I was the only one that would always say, I will do the project. If it's a model, I'll make it. And the reason why I said that was because I didn't want to speak. If you'd have said to me 45 years ago, you're going to stand on a stage and speak in front of you guys, I would have laughed at you. But it works, it changes. Your things change, the way that we do things changes. So once I had to speak in front of class, and of course I stand up at the front, I've got my notes in my hands, I drop my notes. The room erupts into laughter as my notes are flying around the room like confetti. And at that particular moment in time, I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. And I told myself, never again. Fast forward a few years, and I'm here speaking to all of you. Because life has its funny little way of turning your nevers into not yet. And that tiny change from never to not yet can completely change how you see yourself. Let me tell you about a girl that I once knew. She was a former student of mine. I'm going to call her Emma because I don't want to embarrass her. She's not here, but you never know. And Emma was a quiet girl. She sat at the back of the class. She always did her work. She was a perfect grade A student, but she had a phobia. That phobia was speaking. She hated speaking to anybody. If you asked her a question, she would hide away, okay? So one day, I'd given them a project, and as with some of you guys, you do the project, you don't turn up for school, which means that you can't do your presentation. And so one day, class started, and I noticed that some of her teammates weren't in class. So I said to her, hey, Emma, you're going to have to do the presentation. You're going to have to lead it. You can imagine her panic. She tried to get out of it, but I just smiled and I said, I think you'll surprise yourself. And of course she did. Her voice shook, her hands trembled, but people listened. They respected her. And you know what? A few years later, when she finished university, she became a civic speaker. She does it now professionally for a living. And when I asked her what changed, she said something that I'll never forget. She said, thanks to you, she said, I just stopped saying never. Whenever you say, as you can see from the title, rejected, cut, no imagination, J.K. Rowling failed 12 times. It was only the 13th publisher that took on Harry Potter. She went to 12 different publishers and they all said, no, the story is crap. Michael Jordan, probably the greatest basketball player ever, was dropped by his high school basketball team because his coach said that he was absolutely useless and couldn't play basketball. No imagination. Walt Disney was looking for funds to start Disneyland and start making his films. And Walt Disney was told that he had no imagination. This guy went on to create one of the biggest theme parks on the planet. Some great films as well. So it makes you wonder, that their nevers were only temporary. They didn't give up. They carried on going and going and going. And that's what you guys need to do. If you fail at something, don't stop. Keep going. Because eventually you will get there. Let's talk about failure for a second. School teaches you that failure is bad. A red mark, a low grade, a disappointed face from your teacher or your parents because you did bad in a test or you failed an exam. But in real life, failure is just information. It's life saying, not this way, try it another way. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. The first time you try it, without the little stabilizers on the back wheel, you fall off, you scrape your knees. But you don't jump up and say, I'm never going to ride my bike again. Riding a bike gives you freedom. And that's exactly the same thing with life. The next time you fail a test or don't get picked for the school team or you mess something up, remember, you didn't fail. You just found a way that didn't work out yet. But you will get there. Okay, now here's a trick I want you to try. Every time you hear yourself saying, I'll never, I want you to add the word yet. I'll never understand math, yet. I'll never get into the team, yet. That one word turns your wall into a window, okay? The movement is everything because confidence doesn't come from success. It comes from trying again and again and again. Okay, let's be real. The world you're growing up in is completely different from the one that I or your teachers or your parents grew up in. New jobs are appearing every year. We've got AI, we've got social media, we've got new technology. They are changing the rules. Now, you don't need to have a perfect 5-year plan. All you need is the courage to keep learning, stay curious, and try not to let the word never box you in. Because the people who will shape the future are the ones brave enough to say, why not? Okay, sometimes never doesn't come from you, it comes from other people. You'll never make it. You're not clever enough. If you've ever heard any of this, then let me tell you this. Other people's opinions are not facts. Their limits don't have to be yours. What they really mean is, I couldn't do it, so prove them wrong. But kindly. You don't need to shout, you don't need to argue, you don't need to go straight online on social media and post about it. Okay? Do not show doubt. Now, I want you guys to close your eyes for a minute. Literally, close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine yourself 10 years from now. What are you doing? Where are you living? Who have you become? Now imagine that future version of you walking up to you today and saying, thank you for not giving up when you thought you'd never make it. Because every time you choose courage or comfort, every time you try again instead of saying never, you're building that future version of you, one small choice at a time. Okay, here's a challenge I want to leave you with today. Let's not erase the word never. Let's redefine it. Change, I'll never do it, to I'll never stop trying. Change, I'll never be good enough, to I'll never give up on myself. Because life's greatest moments often begin right after you say, I'll never do that. And if you can learn to turn your never into a not yet, there's almost nothing you can't do. Every single one of you has a never in your life right now. Something you've convinced yourself that you can't do. A dream you've quietly pushed aside. Find it, face it, and take one small step towards it today. Because the next time that little voice whispers, you'll never do it, I want you to smile back and whisper back, watch me. Thank you very much.